Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey Fawcett here with you again for, this is just, I know I say this every time, right? Every week you hear me say another amazing episode of Faith Positive Radio, but it really is, because I get to talk to people from all over the world who are Christian business professionals just like you, who are after three things: increasing their faith, greater joy at work so they love God and others more. And today's guest, literally is a man after my own heart, because what he does is he helps companies who are intentional about growing revenue, right, who are good stewards of that revenue growth. And you understand what I'm saying here. The contrast is Jesus said you can't serve God and mammon, okay, and you really have a choice to make. So is it going to be God or greed is the way I think about it. So when you're growing the revenue of your company, what's your purpose? What's your motivation behind doing that? Today's guest is all about being a good steward of those resources, those financial resources that God gives us, and then connecting Christian business professionals just like you and me with ways of making a sustainable, significant difference in the world by gifting ministries that are doing some amazing things. And by the way, he's written a book to help us know how to do that. He's holding up the book right now so we can look at it. It is Revenue Growth Engine. And my guest today, Faith Positive Nation, is Darrell Amy from Little Rock, Arkansas, via Canada. Hey, Darrell, glad to have you on Faith Positive Radio today, man. Welcome to the program.
Dr. Joey, it's fantastic to be here. I'm so excited about this conversation.
Oh, me too, man, because I'm convinced, and that's part of the raison d'etre for Faith Positive Radio, right? I'm convinced that Christian business people hold the keys to the kingdom in their hand, both in terms of using financial resources to do exactly what Jesus would do, right? And then also to help pre-believers become believers, right? Because the influence, the ecclesia, where two or three gather in the workplace, it can make it happen right there in the workplace. Christ is present through you. So, man, you're bringing the best of both of my two passions right here to this episode of Faith Positive Radio. So I thank you for that. So tell us, what was your motivation? I mean, I hear from people every day because they find out, oh, Dr. Joey wrote a book and somebody besides his mom read it. How do you do that? Da, 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 da. So you wrote a book and somebody besides your mom read it as well. What was your motivation behind writing Revenue Growth Engine, Darrell?
Well, so thank you, Dr. Joey. I was about 10 years into my sales career. So I started my career straight out of university in B2B corporate sales and technology world. Wow. And at the time, I was working for a large Japanese technology company. I was helping their partners in the Mid-South grow. And one Sunday, one of my mentors, a wonderful man named Paul Barber, he came to me and said, Darrell, we want you to go on a mission trip. And so, my response was, and it was because my family came out of construction. This was kind of a construction project. My response was, well, let me get back to you. I got a lot going on right now. So, this kept happening week after week. Finally,
this guy wouldn't give up, huh?
Oh, man, it was just a great story. So Paul says, hey, are you going to go on this trip? I said, well, when is it? And he said, it's in 2 weeks. I said, well, I don't know. He said, we'll pay for your trip. And I said, you don't have to do that. So anyhow, I head to the airport on a Monday morning, just like any other Monday, flying to Houston. Now we're taking off out of Houston into a country that I'd never done any research on, didn't speak a word of the language, didn't even know how to pronounce the city of 6 million people that we're flying into. I'm looking out the window going, turn this thing around. I'm not going here, So, but anyhow, while I was in Tegucigalpa, Honduras that week, watching incredible things going on. Obviously, God softened my heart, thankfully. And as I was coming home, one of the things I was thinking was, how do these amazing people working in the back villages of this country, helping solve one of their biggest problems. How do they raise money? So I had a business plan, and I think I'm a lot like you. I always have at least one business plan in my hip pocket that I'm working on.
On a napkin, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
well, it always starts there, right? So I usually put a few, I'm a marketing guy, so you just put a few charts and graphs along with it. But so I took Paul to lunch, and Paul Barber, one of my mentors, great godly man, one of the first people in Campus Crusade, started the missions training center for them in the Philippines the year I was born. So Paul grabs onto this footnote, and on the footnote it said, we're going to start an organization to help fund missions projects out of the profits of this company. So he was done talking about my business plan. He zeroed in on that. And out of that, 17, maybe almost 18 years ago now, the Kingdom Missions Fund was born, which funds innovative missions projects all over the world. And that trip, and then the organization that came out of that, now being able to fund literally hundreds of grants on every continent, it has really opened my eyes to the power of business people to impact the kingdom in significant ways.
So sketch out for us that power. What's that power like? And let's look at it from, first of all, the Christian business professional standpoint. I'm a business owner, or maybe I'm a C-suiter in a business. We hold in common core values around Christianity. We want to do good, but we don't want to be taken advantage of, those kinds of things. So how do we fully integrate or align Christian stewardship into the DNA of our company?
Yeah. Oh boy, that's a great question. But I'll say, I want to give two observations from my experience working with the Kingdom Missions Fund now. The first and most obvious way is forward-thinking business people can move the needle the quickest when it comes to funding the projects. It's just the way it is, right? It's the scalability of all of that. And over the last 17, 18 years working with Kingdom Missions Fund, we've had many businesses step up and say, I want to leave an impact. I want to be a part of this. The second way, and by the way, that was the motivation for writing Revenue Growth Engine. Really? When I was on a sabbatical about 2 or 3 years ago, I started thinking, what could I do to have an impact in the kingdom? I looked at the need. I mean, with the Kingdom Missions Fund, we get 50, 60, 70 grant applications every year. We're able to fund about a dozen. So, every year I have this moment where you go, what can we do to generate more for the kingdom? And I know every amazing nonprofit has the same challenges, right? The resource constraints. So as I was on my quarterly sabbatical, I was just thinking, what could I do? What could I do to have an impact? Option one, build my own business. And I'd been doing that and all of that. Or option two, what if I could help other businesses scale? And so the big, hairy, audacious goal behind Revenue Growth Engine was just this question of, what could we do if we could help 10,000 great businesses double their revenue? And, that started animating, the numbers went from hundreds of thousands to now millions and billions of dollars that we want to affect going into the kingdom by helping businesses grow. So there's the financial aspect, though, to go back to your question of how you can help businesses or help missions. But I think the other way that there's great opportunity in just the innovative spirit of business people helping missions figure out how to grow. So, in business, we are tasked every day with figuring things out. We got to figure out growth strategies. We've got to figure out how to be more effective. We've got to figure out how to be more efficient. And so what I've seen
how
is
to
this
respond to COVID-19.
Oh my goodness, right? Yeah. I mean, that the 2020, I believe, we'll look back and go, I already have seen it. We can pivot and change faster than we ever dreamed we could, which is really good news, by the way.
It is. And we can talk about how the Holy Spirit led us. We can tell our grandchildren, right, how the Holy Spirit led us in 2020 to continue doing business and to actually succeed so that we could do kingdom business. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that, when it comes to having a positive impact in the world, whether it's in missions or in church or even in your community, I mean, there's so much need. The beautiful thing about business people is we have a mindset, we have a strategy, we have a strategic mindset that quite frankly is really, really helpful in that space. So part of this has been directing resources of money into the kingdom, but also resources of strategy and even just sound advice, financially, marketing wise. I mean, HR wise, there's so many ways that business can help.
And things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've been rereading, it's not my first time with it, but I've been rereading Andrew Carnegie's The Gospel of Wealth. And once you get past the syntax, which is from a different generation than our ADD generation today, right? The thing that from this latest reading really leapt off the page at me, Darrell, was that it's not only putting financial resources into caring for others, but it's that tithing, it's that stewardship of the kinds of things you're talking about, ideas, leadership, management of wealth for kingdom purposes. And that's huge. And I don't know whether it's just because I turned a decade, you know, my last birthday, or whether, you know, maybe I was just for the first time reading the book all the way through, but that really leapt out at me. So talk a moment about how you see Christian business professionals able to bring not just the dollars, but the passions, the desires, the demonstrated skill sets into helping make such a dramatic difference in places like Honduras and all around the world.
Well, if you think about resources, instead of thinking about just money, think about resources, right? So, I mean, you look at the resource of time, energy, prayer, right? And then money.
Prayer
and then network. I mean, those are, you know, when I look at resources, those are the 5 things: time, energy, money, prayer, and the network. And, you know, not necessarily in that order. Those are all resources that business people have. First of all, if you're in business, you own a business, not only do you have some time flexibility because you control your schedule, you also dictate the time usage of a lot of other people, right?
Well,
so, I mean,
you have more assets to leverage than just your own
you do.
time.
You've got high leverage, energy, money, obviously, but just the concept of the ideas and the energy around those ideas, and just being able to, you know, I think if we started thinking in terms of giving and being generous in terms of more than just money, and don't get me wrong, money is very, very critical and important.
Sure, it's an important asset, but there are others.
But yeah, those other assets, and this is, you know, when the Kingdom Missions Funds, it is a lot of fun. And I know you've got the URL kingdomfund.com in the show notes, but it's kind of turned into, the best analogy I can give is it's Shark Tank for missions. Now, we're a lot, it's not mean.
Tell me you're nicer, right?
We're much nicer. But the idea
Kevin's
behind
not
that,
on your board, right?
No, we don't. Yeah, you're dead to me. That doesn't all happen. I love that show, by the way.
Yeah.
But what we're
awesome.
what we're looking for in that is we're looking for innovation, and you know, and this is a business mindset, right? If you think about Jeff Bezos, Amazon, right? He wants to test, build, accelerate, and scale. And so the same thing in the kingdom, where's the innovation, the things that could, if they were successful, scale up quickly. And so we've been able to be a part of incredible projects where our missions organizations have come up with ideas that are highly scalable, either to reach more people and or generate resources for the mission. And so all of that, you know, that business mindset, I think business leaders can bring a lot to the kingdom. And, you know, this goes for missions, it goes for churches, it goes for really any type of organization. There is, you know, there's giftings that we have that are extremely valuable and very, very needed.
Yeah, because what you find oftentimes is that the body of Christ is called together for a specific mission or a specific purpose, right?
Yeah.
And it takes that body, right? The head, the foot. I think I'm the belly button, but anyway, I'm an innie, by the way.
Well, good. That's good to know.
Anyway, more information than Faith Buds Nation cared to know. But anyway, so it brings the body together for the accomplishment of these missions. And what happens so often is a visionary, someone who does good, right, and wants to really commit him or herself to doing good in the world for the cause of Jesus Christ, is called out to lead, but there are skill sets she or he just doesn't possess. Right. And so there's an amazing opportunity for guys like yourself and me and others to step into that gap with them and work right alongside them, almost like a board of directors, right, for a company. So we can commit ourselves to that. So yeah, it's a lot more than just financial. Run through those 5 again. Then we got financial, time, prayer, energy, and network. Is that? And
network, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the 5 that you were talking about, because everybody's going to know somebody, at least if you're in business and you're a Christian business person.
You do. You're well connected when you're in business.
Exactly. You may be in Convene, you may be in C12, something like that. So you know some other business owners who can, or key leaders from companies who can move the needle forward. So it's a lot more than just should I say that, to take the sanitary step of writing a check, right? And there's an opportunity for doing more than just running down to build a building for a week. There's the wisdom and the experience, the mentoring that you can give to these companies. So what you do is you help companies that are interested in having that kingdom mindset to, through sales and marketing, grow their revenue for the express purpose of investing in these kingdom funds, whether it's any of those 5 resources. Tell us a little bit, Darrell Amy, about what are some of those kingdom funds that you're investing in and some of the sustainable kinds of impacts you're having around the world for the cause of Christ?
Oh, it's just so many cool stories about that, about different grants that we've been able to fund. But, you know, I mean, just simple things. It's the simple ideas that end up being powerful. We had, you know, we had a missionary in Central Africa, and, you know, it's tough to feed your family, right? It's tough to feed your family. So one of our grant partners came back and said, hey, I got an idea. If this guy had some cows, he could feed his family. So, you know, we bought some cows. We sent them over, and about a year and a half later, they were selling the milk, which was embedding them in the community, generating some income for his family. It was great. And some terrorists came through and killed the cows. So it's a true story. So, hey, right? Jeff Bezos, test.
Right. But they're making more cows every day. So
well, so this is actually really funny, but it's a true story, and it's just a beautiful example of ingenuity. They came back and said, well, cows didn't work very well, but why don't we try some chickens? There's a lot of those. They run away. So
chickens they can move faster. It's harder to kill them, right?
Well, here's what's beautiful. So our grant partner put together a program, and they said, here it is. We're going to give you the, you know, I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but they gave them all of it, the egg, the feed, the, you know, for a small investment of a couple $1,000s, we set up 5 chicken farms. Last I heard, well, this is where it gets cool. Scalability, right? Yes. This is a business mindset. So 5 families are being fed through selling eggs and, you know, all this stuff.
Wow.
But they made an agreement to pay it forward. And last I heard, there are over 150 pastors in Central Africa that are helping partially or fully fund their family through micro farming with chickens.
Really?
Based on this one project.
Did you say 150 off of 2?
Yeah, that was 2 or 3 years ago, that number. So I have no idea. Some of the stuff you just won't ever find out till you get to the kingdom. But
well, it's probably better that way, because I'll try to take credit for it. You know, my ego get out of control.
But that, you know, there's an idea that's smart. It's scalable. It's sustainable. And I, as a business owner, and this is where I think the mindset really fits well, is, you know, you talk about the sanitary writing a check. Well, it takes a lot to write a check. But
yeah, it does. But getting your hands dirty takes a little more.
Well, and if I can, but this is how I think as a business person. I don't write checks. I make investments, right? So you don't just run payroll. You're investing in those people with a purpose.
Yep.
And so when I see things like that, and we've done this, you know, now over 200 times in different countries and different scenarios. When I see things like that, where I go, that's smart. That's sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
That's scalable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a business owner, I go, okay, I can get behind something like that.
Oh,
because,
absolutely. Because it's seed money. It's seed
it
money
is.
that
It's
you're
venture
investing.
capital.
And so it's venture capital, right? For the kingdom purposes. So 2 chicken farms become 150 in 2 to 3 years. And so pastors are supporting themselves as well as their families so that they can share the love of Jesus Christ in particular areas. I'm loving that.
That's the mindset, right? And that's the business mindset, coming to the missions world, is to be able to say, okay, how can we bring innovation? You know, how can we bring innovation? Maybe that's the 6th thing on the energy list or on the resource list, but how can we bring that innovative mindset? And you know, the world needs that right now. I mean, we got to change the way we're doing things.
We do. You know, it's you can find capital to tap into. I know that may be hard for some people who are hearing that right now, but you can usually find capital for business. It's the ideas that are hard to come by.
That's right.
That's the short capital right there.
And capital follows ideas, right? Provision follows vision. So, but that's where I think we can really make an impact, and it's so much fun, right? Looking at the world this way.
Gotta be. So there's a chicken farm, 2 chicken farms from 150. Tell me another story.
The one I just heard was I just heard an update on this story at our board meeting last Friday. We were, one of the problems also in Central Africa is child soldiers. I mean, it's bad. Yeah. And it's just heartbreaking to hear the story.
Yeah.
So they get conscripted, and you know, and they don't really have a way to get out. They're not respected in the community. And so what do you do in a culture like that? How do you make a difference? So one of our missions partners had an idea. They did some research. They found out if a kid has one goat, they can get started in terms of providing a life for themselves. Not only are they able to sell the milk and all of that from the goat, they automatically get status in the community. So next thing you know, I guess I'm giving a lot of agricultural examples here. There's more, but next thing you know, we've got goats. And
I had goat cheese for lunch today. I mean, it's a cool thing, right?
I was laughing. My co-chair, Paul, who I mentioned earlier, went to the Democratic Republic of the Congo right before, I guess it was the end of last year, before the travel shut down, and actually rode 3 hours on a bumpy road up to this village and got to meet some of the former child soldiers. Now that's replicating, right? Because if your goat has other goats, you give one of them away. And
I got it.
So we get these kids that are goat farmers. And so, it was just funny because as a thank you, they gave Paul a goat. So he had to ride 3 hours back
in the back of an SUV with a cow or something, you know.
But we've seen guys. One of our early projects, farmers from, great business people, farmers from Iowa, are trying to figure out how they can impact the world in Afghanistan. Well, you can't go be a missionary in Afghanistan, but they had a protein problem. So they went over and they helped them. We funded them on the exploration trip to go start a soybean processing plant. A few years later, the government kicked in $3 million to build the plant, and now they're staffing it and going over there and building relationships with farmers in Afghanistan. So, just ideas like that. And that's where the business world can look and go, there's a problem. They need protein. Let's figure out how to go over and help them, grow soybeans. And next thing you know, now there's relationships and infrastructure and
they're growing
easy path
soybeans
into the country.
Yeah, they're growing soybeans instead of poppy fields, right?
That's right.
I mean, how cool is that?
So beautiful. And that's where, I get fired up about all this. And that's why when it comes to, forward thinking, kingdom minded businesses, in order for this type of impact to happen, they need to grow. And I believe that healthy things grow, but I also believe that there are some key strategies and processes that need to be put in place for a business to grow. And that's where Revenue Growth Engine came from, is going, what can I draw on from my experience over 27 years in sales, the last 17 years in marketing, working with hundreds of companies, big and small. What can we bring to the table to help businesses put the strategies and plans and processes in place to ensure what I call exponential growth in the book. And I get fired up about it. Dr. Joey is so excited.
Yeah, that is awesome. Because it's more than greed that's motivating that revenue growth, that it's God who's motivating that, and that you can go buy chickens and goats and lift people, right, and soybeans, right? And you can lift people out of the malaise, out of the worst of inhumanity, and you can give them a hope in Jesus Christ. Oh, beautiful story. All right, Darrell, man, we could go on and on and on, but Faith Positive Nation's used to about 30 minutes here. So, but they're going to want to reach out to you.
Well, we're having fun. Yes,
we are, man. We are. Well, it's meaningful. It's significant work that you're doing. And I just want to applaud you and the way that you use the grace gifts that the Holy Spirit has breathed into you, man. It's a beautiful thing.
You.
So tell us ways that we can help, ways we can get involved, ways we can get the book.
Oh my. So, you definitely can learn more about Kingdom Fund, Kingdom Missions Fund at kingdomfund.com and see more of those cool stories. We've got a whole library of projects on there that we've been able to fund. And it has opened my eyes to the incredible things going on all over the world, very innovative, scrappy, fun missions organizations that are solving real problems.
Sweet.
But so if it's good, if you own a business or know somebody that owns a business and you want to grow, I'd love to help and check out Revenue Growth Engine. You can find that on our website, revenuegrowthengine.net. You can go to the Zon, good old Amazon has the book Revenue Growth Engine, and check it out. And inside that book, you'll find things like the strategy for exponential revenue growth. You'll find how to accelerate that growth by going after ideal clients and how to put the processes and systems in place to ensure that growth is consistent and predictable. So, I'd love for you to check it out. And my hope behind this is that we can help great businesses accelerate their growth, because it's never been more needed than it is right now. And opportunities are incredible.
They really are. And Darrell, we've not even given airtime to talking about accelerating the growth of these great businesses, because you can employ more people here at home, and
Absolutely.
The hope that brings to families, and the education that brings to families, the opportunities that brings to families. So
absolutely.
And the way that they support their community. So that's yet another amazing part of it. All the information that Darrell just mentioned is on his page on our website at getpositive.today. So just go to getpositive.today and put Darrell Amy, the man with two first names, Darrell Amy, into the search box, and it'll bring his page up under Faith Positive Radio. And of course, you can find us on YouTube at Faith Positive, our channel there as well. Darrell, thank you so much. Faith Positive Nation always wants to know, so quickly, let me ask you, what's your favorite Bible verse or Bible passage, man?
That one's easy for me. It would be Isaiah 61. And that's the passage that when Jesus kicks off his ministry, goes into the synagogue and unrolls the scroll, right? The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the good news, to bind up the brokenhearted, set the captives free. And that whole chapter goes on to talk about the rebuilding of the ancient ruins. And I believe that's what we're talking about today, is rebuilding the ancient ruins and recovering things that have been lost for generations. And we've got an amazing opportunity to do that right now. And so hands down, Isaiah 61.
Sweet. I'm loving it. Darrell Amy is the author of Revenue Growth Engine. Go check it out on Amazon. Find his page on our site at getpositive.today by just searching for Darrell Amy. Man, I pray God's blessings on you, Darrell Amy, as well as your amazing family. Thank you for sharing your story of what God's doing through you today.
Hey, you got it. Thank you, Dr. Joey.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work, so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.